I chose to do my presentation and my paper on the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act of 1977. The law was a landmark legislation at the time. It was the first type of that law in the world. The United States was the first country to try to impose regulations on its businesses doing business in other countries. It was created to stop bribery of foreign public officials by the companies that were doing business abroad. The reason we needed the law, it was felt, was to protect the free market. With bribery, big companies can essentially buy the contracts with bribes from public officials in other countries, which can push out the smaller businesses that can't afford to pay the bribes. It was also thought that the law would set an example for the rest of the world, and the common thought was that American business should be setting the example and being a leader in ethics in business. The law, what it does is outlaws gifts to foreign officials to influence their decision making. It allows what are called grease payments, which would be like small payments to expedite contracts or make things go faster, but it won't allow any bribery that actually affects the decision making of the officials. It also sets standards in accounting that require transparency. Requires things like footnotes to financial statements, so you can see exactly what's happening in a company by looking at the financial statements. And it also sets standards that companies have to follow as far as internal controls go, which would ensure that the people working for them are doing what management wants them to do. The penalties for breaking the law: the Department of Justice has the authority to file criminal charges, as well as the Securities and Exchange Commission can impose fines. Individuals can face fines of up to $250,000 or 5 years in prison, or both, and companies can be fined up to $2 million for violations of the law. Is it effective or not? There's kind of debate about that. It looks like U.S. companies have probably lost several contracts due to their inability to compete with other companies from other countries that are still allowed to make the bribes. But because of that, it's forced the United States businesses to increase their quality and productivity, and so they compete that way by promoting a better product or by cutting costs through productivity.